Hey guys, we're here with Manny today. He's one of our technicians here at Ricoma, and today he's going to walk you guys through the 8-in-1 hoop. He's going to tell you what each frame is used for, and at the end, he's going to actually embroider something using the 8-in-1 hoop, so stick around for that.
Hi. So when it comes to the 8-in-1 hoop set, it's actually one of my favorite accessories when it comes to embroidering on Ricoma machines. And just because of the versatility and the broad range of options that it gives you versus limiting you to what you normally have with regular traditional hoops. So just to get a little into what exactly is the 8-in-1 hoop set, essentially as the name implies, it's basically 8 different sets of hoops that all fit into this one frame, hence the name 8-in-1. So the way that it's actually put together is that the frame itself will actually have an adhesive backing that goes onto the frame, where the adhesive would be on the upper side so that your garment sticks on the frame itself. So we'll get a little bit into how that actually goes together towards the end of the video, where I'll actually hoop a garment for you so you see the demonstration. Alright, so just getting into the frames themselves. First off, here we have these 3 different sets of frames, whereas you can see they almost look identical. However, they have a bit of differences in sizes, and this is just again to give you much more versatility. So first example we have here is perhaps maybe you'd like to have some custom embroidery on the cuffs of a sleeve. Perfect example with initials here. This can slide right in there, and it's going to be much more easier to frame it this way than to having to try to frame this cuff on a traditional frame. Another perfect example is perhaps maybe you'd want to get a pocket, such as this pocket on a shirt, slides right on in there. This can be utilized with perhaps maybe a polo shirt that also has a pocket as well. And essentially with children's clothing, it's much more smaller, and then if there was a polo shirt with a little pocket, this would make it much more easier. And then moving on down, perhaps maybe underwear. Back in the days, gentlemen used to like putting their initials on their underwear just to make sure that they don't get it mixed up. And so this is a perfect example on how you can slide it on in there, and it makes it much more easier to embroider on this garment versus using your traditional hoop. As we move further down along the line, we have this squarish frame, which is a bit more bigger, and this one is actually one of my favorites. You can actually utilize it for a bag, as you can see. This would make it much more easier than having to try to hoop it on a regular hoop. I have another bag here as well. As you can see, the size really is not a big of an issue. As long as you can get your logo to fit in that frame, then you're all set and good to go. Another square frame that we have here is this one that's again similar, but yet a bit smaller. And perfect example here is this pot holder that we have here, where you can just slide that in there, and you can have a nice monogram there. You can only imagine how difficult it may be to frame something that's this thick using the regular hoops. The 8-in-1 hoops makes that much more easier. Then we come to the larger, more vertical frame. This is a perfect example where you can utilize it, perhaps maybe the leg of a jean on the thigh. Again, this makes it much more easier than having to embroider on a regular hoop size. Moving on down, we have again a vertical rectangular shape, but as you can see, this one is smaller. And perfect example we have here is this oven mitt. Again, a monogram that you can place here, or perhaps maybe you'd like to get long sleeves. It also works well with long sleeves, just sliding it on in to the sleeve. And then once you have it in there, it just slides in, and then you can place any vertical text that you may want to place on that garment. Alrighty. Then we come down to the more unique one, which is this D-shaped hoop. This actually helps you with perhaps maybe a hoodie, for example. You'd like to get a nice design here on the side of this hoodie. As you can see, this will give you much more stabilization than your traditional hoop when trying to frame this piece of garment. It also helps with hats. A lot of times we get asked, hey, how can I embroider on the back of my hat? Well, this frame actually makes it much more easier, where you can actually essentially place it here, and again with that adhesive backing, you'll have much more stability there. Okay. Now, as we mentioned, we're actually going to go into framing using the 8-in-1 hoop set. And so what I have here today, just the materials that you're going to utilize. Of course, the garment itself. So I have here a thermal, kids thermal. It may be difficult with a regular hoop, but with the 8-in-1, we'll show you how we can get some vertical text align this leg. All right. And then the materials you'll need is your adhesive backing. All right. Make sure that it's the sticky kind that sticks to the backing of the material. And you're going to need 4 clips or 5. We'll get into exactly how these are utilized. All righty. And then the frame itself. All right. So when it comes to placing your garment on the adhesive backing, what you want to do is you're going to peel off your adhesive backing. And you're going to want to make sure that you have your adhesive side facing up. And so for this scenario, we're going to use this rectangular longer shaped one. And so you want to make sure that you have this edge that kind of comes up, coming to the top side of the adhesive backing, so that when you stick the garment on, it's essentially just making sure that it's flushed and stuck into place. And then the excess, you can actually just rip it right off. Okay. And then we can do the same thing on the other side. Okay. And then what we'll do next is we're actually going to place the hoop onto the arm itself. So as I mentioned, you're going to want to make sure that the adhesive side is facing up, and then you have this groove that comes up along, and then all you do is just slide it on in there, and you'll have the 2 holes that catch into place. And you want to make sure you tighten it to clamp down the frame itself. Now, when it comes to inserting the actual frame onto the machine itself, the arms that you're going to utilize are going to be essentially the same arms in the same positions when you're using your regular A through F frame. It's exactly the same. The only difference would be that instead of placing the different hoops, you're going to be slotting in the one frame that you have from your 8-in-1. Now, the way that I've done it is that I actually placed this one frame onto this one arm itself. However, keep in mind that this one piece can essentially be any of the 8 pieces that we just talked about. All right. So once you have it in place, when it comes to choosing your frame in design sets, since it's not your A through F hoop, what you would actually choose in this scenario is other, so that you can actually manually set your centering of your design. So once you have that in place, you're going to go ahead and take your garment, and you're going to slide it in to get to the position where you want to do your embroidery. Now you're going to want to make sure that your garment is actually stuck onto the adhesive backing. And now before we actually trace out the design to see that it fits, one tip that I want to give you guys here, which helps, is using binder clips. So with your traditional hoops, you can essentially see your frame. However, in this example, you can't actually see the border. So these binder clips can actually help you set your outer frame. And this is just a tip that I like to advise, which will help you better visualize the border of the frame that you're utilizing. Okay? So now that I know that that's essentially my border, what I'll do is that when I go and scan my design, just to make sure that the edges are not going to hit, I'm going to pay attention to my needle. And there, essentially I saw that it did not run into any of the binder clips, so I know I'm in the clear to start. All right, so when it comes to bordering, you can either embroider with the clips on, or you can remove them. I'm going to go ahead and just remove them. All right, and then we'll just go ahead and start on our design. All right, so here we have our finished product. So when it comes to removing the garment, you can just unloosen the bolt in the back that holds the frame into place. And once you have it loose enough, you can actually slide it on out. And then it's just a matter of peeling the garment itself. And now you have your nice embroidery down the leg. So you can see it was much more simple framing this piece of garment than your traditional hoop. If you like this video, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button down below and subscribe to our channel. I'd also like to take this time to invite you to our Facebook page, Embroidery and Custom Apparel Mastery, where you can join other embroiderers such as yourself and share tips and knowledge in our Facebook community. Also visit our website, www.ricoma.us. You can find both of those links below down in the description. I want to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.